Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. I pull into the driveway, gravel crunching under the tires, and glance at the clock on the dashboard. It's only 4:15 p.m. I'm home earlier than usual, thanks to a sudden power outage at work. I think, this could be a chance for a quiet evening with Linda, my wife. Our financial troubles have been a heavy burden, and any moment of peace is a welcome respite. I step out of the car and head toward the house, noting the silence that greets me. Linda's car is in the driveway, so she must be home. I unlock the door and step inside, greeted by the familiar warmth of our living room. But something feels off. The house is too quiet, especially with the Hendersons' baby, Emma, around. I expected to hear her giggles or cries, but there's nothing. As I walk through the house, I hear faint, muffled noises coming from the nursery. My heart skips a beat. Is Emma okay? My pace quickens as I head toward the sound. The door to the nursery is slightly ajar, and as I approach, the noises become clearer, soft moans and hushed whispers. I freeze, my hand hovering over the doorknob. The realization hits me like a punch to the gut. I push the door open just enough to see inside. There on the bed, tangled in the sheets, are Linda and Mr. Henderson. They're so engrossed in their illicit activity that they don't notice me standing there, my world crumbling around me. A wave of emotions crashes over me: anger, betrayal, hurt. I want to barge in, to scream, to confront them, but something stops me. Instead, a cold, calculated thought creeps into my mind. I step back quietly, letting the door close, and retreat down the hallway. I sit on the couch, my mind racing. How could she do this? We've been struggling, yes, but I thought we were in this together. And with Mr. Henderson, of all people, the man who hired her to care for his child. I feel sick. Then, an idea forms. If they're going to betray me like this, I won't let them get away with it. I grab my phone and text Linda, pretending I'm still at work. Hey, running late today, should be home around 7, see you then. I hear the faint chime of her phone in the nursery. Perfect. This will buy me some time. I need to think, to plan. But first, I need proof. I grab a small, discreet camera from the study one I use for work meetings and head back to the nursery. Carefully, I position it in the hallway, pointing it through the crack in the door. It captures everything, every betrayal, every lie. Satisfied, I leave the house quietly and drive to the nearest cafe. I need to clear my head and figure out my next move. The cafe is bustling with people, the noise a welcome distraction from the chaos in my mind. I order a coffee and sit by the window, staring out at the world passing by. I can't believe this is happening. Just a few months ago we were happy, planning our future, dreaming of better days. But then the financial troubles started, and everything changed. Linda decided to take the nanny job to help out, and I thought it was a good idea. We needed the money, and she loves kids. But now everything is different. I sip my coffee, my mind racing with possibilities. Confronting them outright would be satisfying, but it wouldn't fix anything. No, I need to be smarter. I need to think long-term. How can I turn this betrayal to my advantage? An idea starts to take shape. What if I use this to leverage a better position at work? Mr. Henderson is a big shot in the company. A scandal like this could ruin him. If I play my cards right, I could use this to get a promotion, maybe even a partnership. It's risky, but it could work. I finish my coffee and head back home, feeling a sense of grim determination. This isn't over, not by a long shot. Linda and Mr. Henderson have no idea what's coming. I'm going to make sure they regret this day for the rest of their lives. Back at home, I find them in the living room, acting as if nothing happened. Linda smiles at me, but I can see a flicker of guilt in her eyes. She has no idea I know. I force a smile and kiss her on the cheek, the bitterness of her betrayal lingering in my mind. How was your day? She asks, her voice casual, as if she hasn't just torn my heart out. Busy, I reply, matching her tone. But it's good to be home. Mr. Henderson stands up, his face a mask of cordiality. Thanks for letting Linda stay late. Emma was fussy, but she managed to calm her down. I nod, forcing myself to shake his hand. No problem. Glad she could help. As he leaves, I can see the smug satisfaction in his eyes. He thinks he's gotten away with it, but he's wrong, so very wrong. Linda and I eat dinner in silence, the unspoken tension between us thickening the air. She tries to make small talk, but I can't bring myself to engage. My mind is already working on the next steps, how to gather more evidence, how to set my plan in motion. As I lie in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, I know that this is just the beginning. I will make them pay for what they've done, and I will come out on top. One way or another, I will turn this betrayal into my victory. I glance over at Linda, sleeping peacefully beside me, and feel a pang of sorrow. Despite everything, I still love her. But love isn't enough to excuse what she's done. She made her choice, and now I must make mine. With a steely resolve, I close my eyes and drift off to sleep, knowing that tomorrow will be the start of my revenge, and I will stop at nothing to see it through. The next morning dawns cold and gray, matching the somber mood inside me. Linda is already up, making breakfast, the aroma of coffee and bacon wafting through the house. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for the day ahead. Today I start putting my plan into action. Morning, I say, entering the kitchen. Linda looks up and smiles, but it's strained, and I can see the shadows of guilt in her eyes. "Good morning, honey. Did you sleep well?" she asks, her voice too cheerful. "Yeah, slept like a rock," I lie, pouring myself a cup of coffee. "I've got a busy day ahead. Got to head to the office early. What about you? Any plans with Emma today?" "Just the usual," she replies, avoiding my gaze. "I'll be at the Hendersons until late afternoon." I nod, taking a sip of my coffee. Sounds good. I've got a lot to catch up on at work, so I might be home late too. We eat breakfast in silence, the tension between us palpable. I can feel her watching me, trying to gauge if I suspect anything. But I keep my face neutral, my plan firmly in place. After breakfast, I head to the office, my mind already racing with the next steps. The drive gives me time to think, to refine my plan. By the time I arrive at work, I have a clear strategy in mind. I walk into my office and close the door behind me. My first call is to James, my colleague and one of the few people I trust. "James, it's Eric. I need a favor," I say when he picks up. "Sure, what's up?" James asks, his tone curious. "I need you to help me set up a private meeting with Mr. Henderson. It's urgent." James is silent for a moment. "Eric, is everything okay?" "Not really, but I'll explain everything when we meet. Can you do this for me?" "Of course." "Give me an hour," James says, and I can hear the concern in his voice. I hang up and start gathering the evidence I have. The footage from the camera is clear, damning. I transfer it to a secure drive and make a few copies just in case. This is my leverage, and I need to be prepared for anything. An hour later, James knocks on my door. "Eric, I've got you a meeting with Henderson at 2 p.m. He's curious, but he'll be there." "Thanks, James. I owe you one," I say, clapping him on the shoulder. "Just be careful, okay? Henderson's a powerful man." "I know," I reply, my jaw set. "But I have to do this." The rest of the morning passes in a blur. I focus on my work, trying to keep my mind off the meeting, but as the clock ticks closer to 2 p.m., my nerves start to fray. This is at the moment that could change everything. At 1:45, I make my way to Henderson's office. It's on the top floor, with a view of the entire city. I take a deep breath and knock on the door. "Come in," Henderson's voice calls from inside. I enter, and he looks up from his desk, a polite smile on his face. "Eric, good to see you. Please have a seat." I sit down, my heart pounding in my chest. "Thank you for meeting with me on such short notice." "Of course. James said it was urgent." "What's on your mind?" Henderson asks, leaning back in his chair. I take a deep breath and look him in the eye. "I know about you and Linda." His smile falters, and for a moment I see panic in his eyes, but he quickly recovers, his expression hardening. "I'm not sure what you're talking about." "I have proof," I say, pulling out the drive. "Footage of you and my wife. I don't think your wife or the company would appreciate knowing about this." Henderson's face goes pale, and he stands up, glaring at me. "You have no idea who you're dealing with." "Maybe not," I reply, meeting his gaze. But I know that this footage will ruin you, your reputation, your career, everything. He sits back down, his eyes narrowing. What do you want? I want a promotion, I say, my voice steady. I want to be made a partner, effective immediately, and I want to raise a substantial one. Henderson stares at me, his jaw clenched. And if I refuse? Then this footage goes public, I say, my voice cold. And your life as you know it will be over. There's a long silence as Henderson considers his options. Finally, he nods, his shoulders sagging in defeat. Fine, you win. I'll make the arrangements. Good, I say, standing up. And one more thing, stay away from my wife. If I find out you're seeing her again, I won't be so forgiving. Henderson nods, his eyes filled with hatred. Understood. I leave his office, my heart pounding with a mix of triumph and fear. This is only the beginning. There's still so much to do, so many pieces to put in place. But for now, I've taken the first step. Back at my desk, James comes over, his expression curious. How did it go? Better than expected, I say, a small smile playing on my lips. Henderson's going to make me a partner. James's eyes widen. Are you serious? That's amazing. Yeah, I reply, my mind already racing with the next steps. But there's still a lot to do, and I need your help. Anything James says, his loyalty unwavering. Good, because this is just the beginning. I have a plan, and I need you to be a part of it. James nods, his eyes filled with determination. Count me in. As I drive home that evening, I feel a sense of grim satisfaction. Linda and Henderson thought they could betray me and get away with it. But they underestimated me. This is only the beginning of my revenge, and I will stop at nothing to see it through. When I walk through the door, Linda greets me with a smile, but I can see the unease in her eyes. She has no idea what's coming. I kiss her on the cheek and sit down to dinner, my mind already planning the next steps. The following days unfold like a tightly wound coil, each moment bringing me closer to the execution of my plan. Henderson has kept his word so far. My promotion is being processed, and the raise is on its way. But this victory feels hollow. Linda's betrayal still gnaws at my insides, and the need for more decisive action consumes me. It's Friday evening when I decide to make my next move. Linda is working late again, and I seize the opportunity to gather more evidence. I need something that will ensure Henderson never dares to cross me again, and I need to understand why Linda betrayed me. I call James and explain my plan. I need you to keep an eye on Henderson tonight, see if he's meeting Linda. We need more than just one instance of their affair to truly corner him. James agrees without hesitation, and we set our plan in motion. Meanwhile, I prepare the home for Linda's return. I plant another hidden camera in the living room, pointing it toward the couch where she usually relaxes after coming home. This time, I need to catch any conversation or phone calls that might provide more insight into her motives. As I finish setting up, my phone buzzes. It's James. He's at the Marriott Hotel, James whispers. Room 512. I saw Linda go in about 10 minutes ago. My blood runs cold. This is it, the proof I need. I thank James and head out, my mind a whirlwind of emotions. The drive to the hotel is a blur, my focus solely on what I might uncover. I park a few blocks away and walk to the hotel, trying to keep my emotions in check. At the front desk, I give a friendly smile to the receptionist. Hi, I'm here to surprise my wife. Could you tell me if Linda Roberts is checked in? The receptionist smiles back, not suspecting a thing. Of course, sir. Room 512. Thanks, I reply, my heart pounding. I head to the elevator, my hands trembling with a mix of anticipation and dread. Outside room 512, I take a deep breath and press my ear against the door. I hear muffled voices, Linda's and Henderson's. I pull out my phone and start recording audio. Then, with a swift motion, I knock on the door. There's a moment of silence, followed by hurried whispers. The door opens slightly, and Henderson's face appears. His expression shifts from surprise to fear as he sees me. Eric, what are you doing here? He stammers. I could ask you the same thing, I reply, pushing the door open and stepping inside. Linda stands behind him, her face pale and eyes wide with shock. "Eric, I can explain," she starts, but I cut her off. "Save it," I say coldly. "I've seen enough." I pull out my phone and show them the footage I've already gathered. Henderson's face drains of color as he realizes the extent of my evidence. Linda looks away, tears welling up in her eyes. "Here's what's going to happen," I continue, my voice steady. "Henderson, you're going to transfer ownership of your shares in the company to me. Effective immediately. If you refuse, I'll send all of this to your wife, the board, and the press." Henderson's shoulders slump in defeat. "You win, Eric. I'll make the arrangements." "And you," I say, turning to Linda, "you're going to pack your things and leave. Tonight. This marriage is over." Linda's tears spill over, but she nods, her voice breaking. "I'm so sorry, Eric. I never meant for this to happen." I don't respond. I can't. I turn and leave the hotel room, the weight of what I've just done pressing down on me. This is what I wanted: revenge, justice. But why does it feel so empty? The drive home is silent. When I arrive, the house feels like a stranger's. Linda's things are packed and sitting by the door. She's already gone. I sit on the couch, staring at the empty room, and wonder where it all went wrong. A few days later, the paperwork is finalized. Henderson transfers his shares to me, making me one of the largest stakeholders in the company. My promotion is official, and my salary is significantly higher. On paper, I've won. But the victory feels hollow without Linda by my side. James checks in on me frequently, his concern palpable. "Eric, you did what you had to do," he says one evening as we share a drink. "Henderson and Linda betrayed you. You had every right to take action." "I know," I reply, swirling the whiskey in my glass. "But it doesn't change the fact that my marriage is over. I loved her, James. Despite everything, I loved her." James nods, his expression somber. "Love is complicated, my friend. But you'll get through this. You're strong." I appreciate his support, but the emptiness inside me persists. I throw myself into work, using my new position and power to distract myself. But every night, the silence of the house reminds me of what I've lost. Weeks pass, and I start to notice changes at work. People treat me differently, some with respect, others with suspicion. Henderson keeps his distance, avoiding eye contact whenever our paths cross. The atmosphere is tense, and I realize that my actions have consequences beyond my personal life. One afternoon, I receive a call from Mrs. Henderson. My heart skips a beat as I answer. "Eric, it's Sarah Henderson," she says, her voice calm but steely. "We need to talk. Can you meet me for lunch tomorrow?" "Of course," I reply, my mind racing. "Where would you like to meet?" "Cafe Milano, at noon, don't be late." The call ends, leaving me with a sense of foreboding. Sarah Henderson is known for her sharp mind and business acumen. If she's reached out to me, it means she knows something, and that something could unravel everything I've worked for. The next day, I arrive at Cafe Milano promptly at noon. Sarah is already there, sipping a glass of wine. She waves me over, her expression unreadable. "Thank you for meeting with me, Eric," she says as I sit down. "Of course. What's this about?" I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. She leans forward, her eyes piercing. "I know about the affair, and I know about the leverage you used to get your promotion and the shares." My heart races. "Sarah, She holds up a hand, silencing me. "I don't blame you for what you did. My husband is a scoundrel, and Linda is no saint. But your actions have put the company at risk. We can't afford a scandal." "What do you want from me?" I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. "I want you to help me clean up this mess," she replies. "We need to stabilize the company and ensure that no one else finds out about this. If we work together, we can save our careers and our reputations." I nod, realizing that this is my chance to make things right. I'll do whatever it takes. Sarah smiles, a hint of warmth in her eyes. "Good. We'll start tomorrow. There's a lot of work to be done." As I leave the cafe, I feel a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, I can salvage something from the wreckage of my life. And with Sarah's help, I'll make sure that Henderson and Linda's betrayal doesn't destroy everything I've worked for. The next morning, I arrive at the office with a renewed sense of purpose. Sarah and I have a plan to stabilize the company and ensure that Henderson's betrayal doesn't become public knowledge. As I walk through the halls, I notice the tension in the air has eased slightly. People are beginning to accept my new role, and the whispers are dying down. I meet Sarah in her office. She's already hard at work, surrounded by documents and reports. She looks up as I enter, giving me a determined smile. "Morning, Eric. Ready to get started?" she asks, handing me a stack of papers. "Absolutely," I reply, taking a seat across from her. "What's the first order of business?" "We need to restructure the management team," she says, pointing to a chart. "Several of Henderson's allies are still in key positions. We need to replace them with people we can trust." We spend the next few hours going through the list of names, identifying those who need to be moved and those who can stay. It's a delicate process, but Sarah's strategic mind makes it easier. As the day wears on, I feel a sense of accomplishment. For the first time in weeks, I feel like I'm in control of my life. But just as we're wrapping up, Sarah's phone rings. She answers it, her expression shifting from annoyance to shock. "What do you mean there's been a breach?" she asks, her voice rising. "How could this happen?" I watch her, my stomach knotting. When she hangs up, she looks at me, her face pale. "Eric, we have a problem. Someone leaked the footage of Henderson and Linda. It's all over the internet." My blood runs cold. "What? How is that possible? I had the only copies." "I don't know," she replies, shaking her head. "But we need to contain this. Now." We scramble to manage the fallout. Sarah calls an emergency board meeting while I try to track down the source of the leak. As I dig through my files, a sinking feeling settles in my gut. There's only one explanation that makes sense: someone close to me betrayed me. The board meeting is tense. The members are furious, demanding answers. Henderson sits across from me, a smug smile on his face. He thinks he's won, but he has no idea what's coming. "We need to address this head-on," Sarah says, standing at the head of the table. "This scandal could ruin us if we don't act fast." "We should launch an internal investigation," one of the board members suggests. "Find out who leaked the footage and why." As the discussion continues, I receive a text from James. "Meet me in the parking garage, now." I excuse myself from the meeting and head to the garage. James is waiting by his car, his expression grim. "What's going on?" I ask, my heart pounding. "I think I know who leaked the footage," he says, glancing around to make sure we're alone. "It's Linda." What? I can barely believe my ears. Why would she do that? "She's been planning this from the start," James explains. "She never loved you, Eric. She was using you to get closer to Henderson. When you blackmailed him, it threw a wrench in their plans. This is her way of getting back at both of you." The revelation hits me like a freight train. Linda's betrayal runs deeper than I ever imagined, but as the shock wears off, a new sense of determination takes hold. I need to confront her, to end this once and for all. I drive to the apartment where Linda's been staying since we separated. The building is run down, a stark contrast to the life we once shared. I knock on the door, my anger simmering just below the surface. Linda opens the door, her eyes widening in surprise. "Eric, what are you doing here?" "We need to talk," I say, pushing past her into the apartment. "I know you leaked the footage." Her expression hardens. "So what if I did? You deserved it." "You think this is some kind of game?" I shout, my frustration boiling over. "You've ruined my life, Linda. You've ruined the company. Why?" "Because you took everything from me," she screams back, tears streaming down her face. "You blackmailed Henderson, destroyed our marriage. I had nothing left to lose." Her words cut deep, but they also reveal the truth. Linda isn't just a pawn in Henderson's game, she's a player herself, driven by a desperation I hadn't seen before. "We can still fix this," I say, my voice softer. "But you need to come clean. Tell the board everything." Linda laughs bitterly. "And what? Beg for forgiveness? It's too late for that, Eric." "No, it's not," I insist. "If we work together, we can salvage what's left. But you have to trust me." For a moment she looks like she might relent, but then her eyes harden again. I can't do that, Eric. Not after everything that's happened. I leave the apartment, my heart heavy with the weight of her betrayal. As I drive back to the office, I realize that I can't save Linda. She's made her choice, and now I have to make mine. When I return to the boardroom, Sarah is finishing up the meeting. The board members look exhausted, but there's a sense of resolution in the air. We've decided to go public with our own statement, Sarah says, looking at me. We'll admit to the affair, but frame it as a personal matter that won't affect the company's operations. I nod, knowing it's the best course of action. I'll handle the press release. Over the next few days, the scandal dominates the headlines. But thanks to Sarah's quick thinking, the company weathers the storm. Henderson resigns in disgrace, and I step into my new role as partner with a renewed sense of purpose. James stays by my side, his loyalty unwavering. "You did the right thing, Eric," he says one evening as we sit in my office, reviewing the latest reports. "You took control and protected the company." "Thanks, James," I reply, grateful for his support. "I couldn't have done it without you." As the weeks turn into months, life slowly begins to stabilize. The scandal fades from the public eye, and the company moves forward. But the lessons I've learned stay with me about trust, betrayal, and the lengths people will go to protect themselves. One day, I receive an unexpected visitor. Sarah walks into my office, a knowing smile on her face. "Eric, there's someone here to see you," she says, stepping aside to reveal Linda. My heart skips a beat. Linda looks different, older, more worn, but there's a softness in her eyes that wasn't there before. "Can we talk?" she asks, her voice tentative. I nod, gesturing for her to sit. "Of course." We sit in silence for a moment, the weight of our shared history hanging between us. Finally, Linda speaks. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she says, her voice trembling, "about everything that happened. I'm sorry, Eric, for everything." Her apology catches me off guard, and I struggle to find the right words. "I appreciate that, Linda. But it's going to take time for me to trust you again." "I know," she says, her eyes glistening with tears. "But I want to try, if you'll let me." As I look at her, I realize that this is the closure I needed. The chance to finally move on from the pain and betrayal. I reach across the table and take her hand. "Let's take it one step at a time," I say, offering her a small smile. She nods, her grip tightening around mine. "Thank you, Eric. I promise I'll make it right." As we sit there, a sense of peace washes over me. The road ahead won't be easy, but for the first time in a long time, I feel hopeful, and with that hope, I'm ready to face whatever comes next. And so, with a new chapter unfolding, I begin to rebuild not just my life, but my trust and my future. And this time I'm determined to do it right,